shattered illusions. The perfect anniversary morning. The California sun painted golden streaks across the marble floors of our Malibu beach villa. I stood in the kitchen, arranging red roses in a crystal vase, my heart full of excitement. Today marked 10 years since Marcus Bennett had made me the happiest woman alive by saying, "I do." My name is Elena Martinez, and I'm 38 years old. I own a successful art gallery in downtown Los Angeles, representing emerging artists from around the world. Marcus, my husband of 10 years, built his fortune as a real estate developer. Together, we created what everyone called the perfect life. Our villa overlooked the Pacific Ocean, our bank accounts were healthy, and our marriage seemed unshakable. Or so I thought. The unexpected pain. I had planned everything perfectly for our anniversary celebration. Champagne chilling in the wine cellar, Marcus's favorite meal prepared by our private chef, and a surprise gift, a vintage Rolex watch he'd been eyeing for months. But as I reached up to adjust one of the roses, a sharp pain shot through my chest like lightning. The vase slipped from my hands, shattering across the kitchen floor. I grabbed the counter, gasping for air. The pain was unlike anything I'd ever experienced, crushing, radiating down my left arm, making the room spin around me. "Marcus," I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. "Marcus, help." My legs gave way beneath me, and I collapsed onto the cold tile floor, glass shards cutting into my palms. The ceiling above me seemed to pulse and fade as darkness crept in from the edges of my vision. The hospital room revelation. When consciousness returned, I found myself in a private hospital room at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The steady beeping of monitors filled my ears, and tubes connected my body to various machines. My chest ached with every breath, and my mind felt foggy from whatever medications they'd given me. A cardiologist named Dr. Chun had examined me thoroughly. I'd suffered a severe heart attack caused by a previously undiagnosed condition. The doctor's words echoed in my mind. "You need immediate surgery, Mrs. Bennett. Without it, another episode could be fatal." I drifted in and out of consciousness, waiting for Marcus to arrive. When I finally heard his voice outside my room, relief flooded through me, until I heard who he was talking to. "So the surgery costs how much?" Marcus asked, his tone sharp and calculating. $250,000, a woman replied. Her voice was young, confident, and unfamiliar. "But that's without insurance coverage, which would reduce your out-of-pocket expense significantly." "Still too much," Marcus muttered. "And for what?" "She's 38. She's had a good run." My blood turned to ice water in my veins. The conversation that changed everything. I forced myself to remain perfectly still, keeping my breathing steady and my eyes closed. The medications made it easy to appear unconscious while my mind raced with horror at what I was hearing. "Marcus, you can't be serious," the woman said. But there was something in her tone, not shock, but excitement barely contained. "She's your wife." "Victoria, let's be realistic here," Marcus replied. "We've been planning our future together for 2 years. This situation actually solves our biggest problem. No messy divorce, no splitting assets, no alimony payments." Victoria. I'd heard that name before. Marcus had mentioned her as a new business associate, someone helping him with property acquisitions. They'd had several late-night meetings over the past months that I'd foolishly attributed to important business deals. "What about the insurance policy?" Victoria asked. "Didn't you say she has a substantial one?" $2 million, Marcus confirmed, and I could hear the smile in his voice. "Plus her half of the villa, her gallery, her personal accounts. We're looking at roughly $4 million total once everything's liquidated." The casual way they discussed my death, my murder, made bile rise in my throat. But I couldn't move, couldn't react. Some instinct told me that staying silent, playing unconscious, was the only thing keeping me alive right now. The deadly plot unfolds. Victoria moved closer to my bed. I could smell her expensive perfume, something floral and cloying. "The doctors said without surgery, she could have another heart attack at any time." "Exactly," Marcus agreed. "Natural causes. No one would question it. A tragic loss, but these things happen. We could even help things along," Victoria suggested, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I have connections in this hospital. A small medication error, an overlooked complication. It happens more often than people realize." My heart monitor must have registered my panic because a nurse entered the room suddenly. "Is everything all right in here?" she asked. Mrs. Bennett's vitals spiked. "We were just discussing her condition," Marcus said smoothly, instantly transforming into the concerned husband. "How is she doing?" "Stable for now," the nurse replied, checking my 4 lines. "But she really does need that surgery as soon as possible. Have you spoken with the financial coordinator about the arrangements?" "We're working on it," Marcus lied effortlessly. "I want only the best for my wife." The nurse smiled kindly at him. "She's lucky to have such a devoted husband. If only she knew the truth." The brothers timely returned. After the nurse left and Marcus and Victoria departed to grab coffee, I lay in the darkness of my hospital room, trying to process the nightmare my life had become. The man I loved, the man I trusted with everything, was planning to let me die, or worse, actively planning to kill me, for money. I thought about our 10 years together, searching for signs I'd missed. The late nights, the unexplained expenses, the gradual emotional distance. It all made horrifying sense now. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of someone entering my room. Heavy, confident footsteps that I recognized immediately despite not having heard them in over 3 years. "Elena," a deep voice said softly. "Dios mío, what happened to you?" "Raphael." My older brother Raphael. We'd been estranged since our parents' death 3 years ago, fighting over the family business and estate. Raphael had built a tech empire, becoming a billionaire through software development, while I'd pursued my passion for art. Our fight had been bitter, and we hadn't spoken since. But hearing his voice now, I wanted to cry with relief. I wanted to open my eyes, to tell him everything, to beg for his help. But some instinct held me back. I needed to know if anyone else was with him first. The security system secret. "Mr. Martinez?" A hospital administrator entered. "I'm so sorry about your sister's condition. We weren't aware she had family in the area besides her husband." "I was in Singapore for business," Raphael explained. "I caught the first flight back when I heard. Can you tell me exactly what happened?" As the administrator explained my condition and the need for surgery, I heard Raphael moving around the room. He was doing something near the window, and I could hear faint clicking sounds. "Has her husband approved the surgery yet?" Raphael asked. "We're still in discussions with Mr. Bennett about the financial arrangements," the administrator said carefully. "These situations can be complicated." "Complicated," Raphael repeated, and I heard the anger simmering beneath his professional tone. "My sister needs emergency heart surgery, and her husband is discussing whether to save her life? I'm sure he's just weighing all the options." "The only option is surgery," Raphael interrupted. "I'll cover the full cost. Schedule it immediately." "Of course, Mr. Martinez. I'll inform the surgical team right away." After the administrator left, Raphael came and sat beside my bed. I felt his hand gently take mine, his thumb brushing over my knuckles like he used to do when we were children and I was scared. "Elena," he said quietly, "I don't know if you can hear me, but I need you to know something. I installed a complete security system in your villa last month. Marcus doesn't know about it. I was worried about him, about some business dealings I'd been hearing about. I wanted to make sure you were safe." Security cameras. My brother had been watching over me, even during our estrangement. "I reviewed the footage from this morning," Raphael continued, his voice hard as steel. "You didn't just have a heart attack, Elena. Marcus triggered it. He put something in your coffee, something that caused the cardiac event. And I have it all on video." The deepening conspiracy. My mind reeled with this revelation. Marcus hadn't just been willing to let me die. He'd actively tried to kill me. The anniversary surprise, the perfect morning, it had all been an elaborate murder plot. "I've already contacted the police," Raphael said. "But I wanted to be here when you woke up. I wanted to make sure you were protected. Whatever happens next, Elena, I'm not leaving your side." The door opened again, and I heard Marcus's voice, now falsely warm and concerned. "Who are you? What are you doing in my wife's room?" "I'm Rafael Martinez," my brother replied coldly. "Elena's brother. And I have some very important questions for you, Marcus." "Rafael," Marcus said, and I could hear him struggling to maintain his composure. "I didn't realize you were back in town. Elena will be so pleased when she wakes up." "If she wakes up," Rafael corrected. "According to the hospital staff, you've been hesitant about approving her life-saving surgery." "That's not. I've been trying to understand all the medical options." The option is surgery or death, Raphael interrupted. It's not complicated. Unless, of course, you have reasons for wanting her to die. The tension in the room was suffocating. I could feel Marcus's panic, could almost hear his mind racing to find the right words, the right excuse. I don't appreciate your accusations, Marcus said finally. I love my wife. This has been an incredibly difficult time, and I'm trying to make the best decisions for her care. Then you'll be relieved to know I've authorized and paid for her surgery, Raphael said. It's scheduled for tomorrow morning. You're welcome. Victoria's voice suddenly joined the conversation. Marcus, is everything okay? Oh, who's this? Rafael Martinez, Elena's brother, Raphael said. And you are? Victoria Cross. I'm a friend of the family, here to support Marcus during this difficult time. A friend, Raphael repeated slowly. How convenient. The turning point. I could feel the dynamic in the room shifting, could sense Raphael sizing up the situation with the sharp intelligence that had made him so successful in business. He knew. Somehow, he knew everything. Well, I should let you all get back to Elena, Victoria said quickly. Marcus, I'll wait for you in the cafeteria. After she left, Raphael spoke again, his voice dangerously quiet. Marcus, I'm going to be staying here at the hospital until my sister wakes up. I've arranged for private security outside her door. No one enters this room without my approval. Not even you. That's completely unnecessary. I disagree. In fact, I think it's absolutely necessary. You see, I have some concerns about Elena's safety. Concerns I plan to discuss with the police very soon. Are you threatening me? I'm protecting my sister, Raphael said simply. Something you seem remarkably uninterested in doing. Now, I think you should leave. Visit your friend in the cafeteria. I'm sure you have a lot to discuss. The sound of Marcus's footsteps retreating filled me with a mixture of relief and terror. I was safe for now, protected by my brother's presence and his mysterious security footage. But Marcus and Victoria were still out there, still plotting, still dangerous. The promise of justice. After Marcus left, Raphael returned to his chair beside my bed. Elena, he said softly. I know you probably can't hear me, but I'm going to tell you what happens next. Tomorrow, you'll have your surgery. You're going to survive this. And then, when you're strong enough, we're going to make sure Marcus and his accomplice pay for what they've tried to do. He paused, and I heard him pulling something out, probably his phone. I have 17 hours of security footage from your villa. I have audio recordings of their conversations. I have financial records showing that Marcus has been embezzling from your gallery for the past year, that he's been planning this for a long time. And I have evidence that Victoria has been involved in at least 2 other suspicious deaths of wealthy patients she's had access to. My brother had been busy. Despite our estrangement, despite the years of silence between us, he'd been watching over me, protecting me, gathering evidence against the man I'd trusted with my heart. When you wake up, Raphael continued, we're going to end this. But we need to be smart about it. We need to let them think they're winning, at least for a little while longer. We need to give them enough rope to hang themselves completely. As I lay there, listening to my brother plan our revenge, I felt something new stirring inside me. Not just the desire to survive, but the determination to make them pay. Marcus and Victoria thought they were so clever, so careful. They thought they'd covered all their bases. They had no idea what was coming for them. The end of innocence. That night, as I finally allowed myself to drift into genuine sleep, protected by my brother's presence and the security guards he'd stationed outside my door, I said goodbye to the woman I'd been that morning. The trusting wife, the romantic fool who believed in forever. She was gone, shattered as completely as that crystal vase on our kitchen floor. When I woke up from surgery tomorrow, I would be someone new. Someone harder, someone smarter, someone who understood that love could be a weapon as easily as it could be a gift. Marcus and Victoria wanted to play games with my life? Fine. But they were about to learn that I was far better at games than they ever imagined. And this time, I would be the one writing the rules. The Web Titans, where Elena recovers, plots her revenge, and discovers just how deep the betrayal really goes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below what you think will happen next. The Web Titans. Waking up to a new reality. The surgical lights faded from my vision like stars disappearing at dawn. When I finally opened my eyes, truly opened them for the first time in 3 days, Raphael was sitting beside my bed, his laptop balanced on his knees, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he hadn't left my side. "Welcome back," he said softly, closing his computer and leaning forward. "How do you feel?" "Like someone cracked my chest open," I whispered, my throat dry and raw from the breathing tube. "But alive. Definitely alive." Raphael's eyes glistened with tears he refused to let fall. "I'm so sorry, Elena. For everything. For the fight we had, for the years we lost, for not being there sooner." I reached out and took his hand. "You saved my life, Raphael. You're here now. That's what matters." He squeezed my fingers gently. "We have a lot to discuss. The doctors say you need rest, but there are things you need to know. Things I've discovered about Marcus and Victoria." "I heard them," I said quietly. "In this room, before you arrived. I heard them planning to kill me for the insurance money." Raphael's jaw tightened. "I know. I've reviewed all the security footage from the hospital, too. I had a friend install cameras in your room after my first visit. We have everything recorded. The evidence room." Over the next hour, as nurses came and went checking my vitals, Raphael showed me everything he'd compiled. His laptop screen displayed folder after folder of damning evidence, each one representing another nail in Marcus's coffin. "This is from the morning of your heart attack," he said, pulling up security footage from our villa's kitchen. I watched myself arranging roses, smiling, completely unaware of what was coming. Then Marcus appeared, moving smoothly through the kitchen while I was distracted. He pulled a small vial from his pocket and poured something into my coffee cup, the one with hand-painted roses I'd commissioned from a local artist for our 5th anniversary. "What was it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "A cardiac stimulant," Raphael explained. "In high doses, especially for someone with your undiagnosed heart condition, it triggers severe arrhythmia and can cause heart attacks. The hospital tox screen found traces of it in your system, but they assumed it was from a medication error." I had to tell Dr. Chen the truth. He's agreed to testify about the poisoning. The screen changed to show financial documents. "Marcus has been stealing from your gallery for 18 months, Raphael continued. "Small amounts at first, 5,000 here, 10,000 there. But in the last 6 months, he's embezzled over $400,000. He's been funneling it into an offshore account registered under Victoria's name." My heart, my surgically repaired heart, ached with a pain that had nothing to do with the incision in my chest. "How long have they been together?" "Based on financial records, travel receipts, and hotel bookings I've uncovered, at least 2.5 years. They've been to Paris, Rome, Barcelona, all the places you always wanted to visit but Marcus said were too expensive or not the right time." Victoria's dark history. Raphael pulled up another file, this one containing news articles and police reports. "Victoria Cross is even worse than we thought. She's a nurse, yes, but she's moved between 7 different hospitals in the past 10 years. And at 4 of those hospitals, wealthy patients under her care died unexpectedly." He showed me photograph after photograph. An elderly man who'd been recovering from routine surgery. A middle-aged woman admitted for pneumonia. A businessman who'd come in for a simple procedure. All dead within days of Victoria being assigned to their care. The family suspected foul play, Raphael explained. But in each case, the deaths were ruled as complications, medication errors, allergic reactions, unexpected deterioration. Victoria would move to a new hospital before any real investigation could begin. "She's been doing this for years, Elena. She's a serial killer who uses her medical access to murder people." I felt sick. "And Marcus found her. Or she found him." "I think they found each other," Raphael said grimly. "Two predators recognizing a kindred spirit. I've traced their relationship back to a real estate conference 2.5 years ago. Victoria was working at the hotel where the conference was held. They started their affair there. And at some point, they decided you were worth more dead than alive. The fake death plan." A nurse entered to administer more pain medication, and Raphael quickly closed his laptop. After she left, he leaned in closer, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "I've been working with Detective Sarah Morrison from the LAPD," he said. "She specializes in fraud and attempted murder cases. We've developed a plan, but it's risky. It requires you to trust me completely." "What kind of plan?" I asked. "We fake your death." The words hung in the air between us. I stared at my brother, trying to process what he was suggesting. "Think about it," Raphael continued. Right now, Marcus and Victoria know I'm suspicious. They're being careful, covering their tracks. But if you die, they'll think they've won. They'll get sloppy. They'll celebrate, make mistakes, reveal even more evidence. And we'll be there to catch every single second of it. How would it work? Raphael pulled out a detailed timeline he'd created. Tomorrow, your condition deteriorates. We stage a cardiac event that appears fatal. Dr. Chin will officially pronounce you dead. Marcus inherits everything as planned. Your body, actually a medical dummy used for training, will be cremated quickly, which Marcus will push for. He won't want an autopsy that might reveal the poisoning. And while he thinks I'm dead, you'll be in a private recovery facility under an assumed name. You'll heal, get strong, and we'll watch Marcus and Victoria through surveillance. They're already planning a trip. I've hacked Marcus's email. They're looking at luxury villas in Santorini, Greece. They want to celebrate their freedom somewhere romantic. The cruelty of it, using my death as an excuse for a romantic getaway, made anger burn through my chest. Let them go, I said coldly. Let them think they've gotten away with it. And then we destroy them, setting the trap. Over the next 3 days, Raphael and Detective Morrison orchestrated one of the most elaborate stings I'd ever heard of. My death was scheduled for Friday evening, during a shift change when fewer people would be around to witness inconsistencies. Dr. Chun was incredible. He coached me on how to appear as if I was declining, how to fake the symptoms of another cardiac event. The nurses who were in on the plan treated me with genuine sadness, playing their parts perfectly. Marcus visited twice during those 3 days, and each time I had to lie perfectly still, barely breathing, while he stood over my bed. I could feel his eyes on me, could sense him calculating, waiting. How much longer? I heard him whisper to Victoria during one visit. She'd started showing up regularly, playing the supportive friend to perfection. Soon, Victoria replied. Her vitals are declining. The surgery bought her some time, but her heart is failing. It could be any day now. They were standing right next to my bed, discussing my impending death like they were talking about the weather. It took every ounce of self-control not to open my eyes and scream at them. After they left, Raphael entered through a back entrance, one reserved for family during end-of-life situations. You okay? He asked. I want them to pay, I said simply. I want them to suffer the way they've made me suffer. They will, Raphael promised. Trust me, Elena. They will. The staged death. Friday evening arrived with unseasonable rain pounding against the hospital windows. The storm felt appropriate, dramatic, violent, cleansing. At 8:47 p.m., my heart monitor began its pre-programmed alarm sequence. Nurses rushed in, followed by Dr. Chun. They performed CPR for exactly 12 minutes, long enough to be convincing, short enough to minimize questions. Time of death, 9:03 p.m., Dr. Chun announced solemnly. The nurses covered my face with a sheet. Through the thin fabric, I could see shadows moving, could hear the sounds of the hospital continuing around my corpse. Marcus was called immediately. He arrived within 20 minutes, Victoria trailing behind him. Raphael met them outside my room, his face a perfect mask of grief. I'm so sorry, Marcus, Raphael said, his voice breaking in all the right places. She fought so hard, but her heart, it just gave out. Can I see her? Marcus asked. There were even tears in his voice. If I hadn't known better, I would have believed he was genuinely devastated. Of course. Marcus entered the room alone. I felt him approach the bed, felt him pull back the sheet to look at my face. I'd practiced keeping my features completely relaxed, peaceful, dead. Goodbye, Elena, he whispered. And then, so softly I almost missed it. Thank you for being worth so much. After he left, after the paperwork was signed and my body was transferred to the morgue, Raphael helped me out of the hospital through a service entrance. A private ambulance waited, and within an hour, I was settled in a luxury recovery suite in a facility an hour outside Los Angeles. He thanked me. I told Raphael as I settled into the comfortable bed. Marcus thanked me for being worth so much money. Remember that feeling, Raphael said. Remember it when this gets hard, when you want to quit. Remember exactly who he is. The celebration. The surveillance began immediately. Raphael had teams watching Marcus and Victoria around the clock. We watched as Marcus called my gallery employees the next morning, his voice heavy with fake grief as he announced my passing. We watched as he met with insurance agents, pushing for quick processing of my life insurance claim. But it was the private moments that revealed their true nature. 2 days after my death, Marcus and Victoria met at an expensive restaurant in Beverly Hills. Raphael had managed to get surveillance equipment installed at their favorite booth, and we watched the live feed from my recovery room. "To freedom," Marcus said, raising his champagne glass. "To $2 million, Victoria added, clinking her glass against his. "Plus the gallery, the villa, the offshore accounts. You're officially a rich widower, darling." They laughed. Actually laughed. And then they began planning their future in detail. "I think we should sell the gallery immediately," Marcus said. "Keep the villa for now. We might want to use it before we relocate permanently. I'm thinking Santorini for a few months, then maybe the south of France." "What about Raphael?" Victoria asked. "He was very suspicious. What if he causes problems?" Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "Elena's brother has no legal standing. The will is clear. Everything goes to me as her spouse. Raphael can be suspicious all he wants, but without proof of wrongdoing, there's nothing he can do. In 6 months, we'll be living in Europe and he'll just be a bad memory." "You're sure the poisoning can't be traced?" Victoria pressed. "The stimulant metabolizes quickly. Even if they'd done a full autopsy instead of just cremating her, which they didn't, they would have found nothing conclusive. We're in the clear, Victoria. We actually pulled this off." The financial trail. While Marcus and Victoria celebrated, Raphael and Detective Morrison worked around the clock building their case. Every conversation was recorded. Every financial transaction was documented. Every lie was cataloged and cross-referenced. "We've got enough for attempted murder charges," Detective Morrison told us during one of her visits to my recovery facility. "The poisoning, the conspiracy to deny medical care, the planning conversations we recorded, it's ironclad." "What about Victoria's previous victims?" I asked. "That's where it gets interesting," the detective said, pulling out her own files. "Once I started digging into Victoria Cross's history, I connected with investigators in 3 different states. We're looking at potentially 7 murders over 10 years. Families are willing to testify. One woman even had security footage from her mother's hospital room that shows Victoria administering something for that wasn't prescribed." "Will she go to prison?" I asked. "If we do this right." "Life sentence. Multiple counts of first-degree murder, conspiracy, fraud. She'll never see daylight again." The thought should have brought me satisfaction, but instead, I just felt hollow. 7 people dead because of that woman's greed. 7 families destroyed. And she'd almost made it 8. The Greece booking. 3 weeks after my death, Marcus received the insurance payout. We watched him transfer the money to his offshore account, watched him sell my gallery to a corporate buyer for far less than it was worth, watched him list our villa with a luxury real estate agent. And then we watched him book 2 first-class tickets to Santorini. "They leave in 5 days," Raphael informed me. "He's rented a villa on the Caldera, stunning views, completely private, outrageously expensive. They're planning to stay for a month." "That's where we take them," I said. "Let them have their celebration. Let them think they've won. And then we show them exactly what justice looks like." Detective Morrison coordinated with Interpol and Greek authorities. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Let Marcus and Victoria arrive. Let them check into their luxury villa. Let them have one perfect night of celebration. And then, when they were toasting their success, we would appear, with police, with evidence, with the undeniable proof of their crimes. "There's one more thing," Raphael said quietly. "I think you should be there. I think you should be the one who walks through that door and shows them that their victim survived." I met my brother's eyes and saw the fierce protectiveness there, but also the respect. He wasn't just trying to avenge me anymore. He was acknowledging my right to face my attempted murderers. "Book me a ticket," I said. "I want to see their faces when they realize I'm alive." The final preparation. My recovery had progressed remarkably well. The surgery had been a complete success, and my heart was actually stronger than it had been before the attack. The doctors cleared me for travel with only minor restrictions. In the weeks since my death, I'd had time to think. Time to process not just Marcus's betrayal, but my own blindness to it. How had I missed the signs? How had I trusted so completely that I'd ignored my own instincts? Stop blaming yourself. Raphael said one afternoon as we reviewed the final plans for Greece. Predators are good at what they do. That's why they're dangerous. You loved him, trusted him. That's not a weakness, Elena. That's being human. I should have known, I insisted. And he should have been the man he pretended to be, Raphael countered. You're not responsible for his choices. You're only responsible for how you respond now. And you're responding perfectly, with strength, with strategy, with justice. The night before we left for Greece, I stood on the balcony of my recovery suite, looking out at the Los Angeles skyline in the distance. Somewhere out there, Marcus was packing his bags, dreaming of his new life with Victoria. Somewhere out there, they were congratulating themselves on the perfect crime. They had no idea that tomorrow, their perfect crime would become their perfect prison. Ready? Raphael asked from behind me. I turned to face my brother, the man who'd saved my life despite our years of estrangement, the man who'd orchestrated justice when the system might have failed me. Ready? I confirmed. Let's go show them what happens when you try to bury Elena Martinez. You mean Elena Martinez Bennett? Raphael corrected with a slight smile. No, I said firmly. Just Elena Martinez. I'm taking back my name, my identity, my life. Marcus Bennett tried to kill me. But Elena Martinez? She's just getting started. Justice served cold. Arrival in paradise. The Aegean Sea stretched out before me like liquid sapphire, the whitewashed buildings of Santorini, cascading down the volcanic cliffs in picture-perfect beauty. Under different circumstances, this would have been my dream vacation. Instead, it was the stage for my resurrection and Marcus's reckoning. Raphael and I arrived in Santorini 2 days before Marcus and Victoria, giving us time to coordinate with the local authorities and Interpol. Detective Morrison had flown in separately, along with a team of agents who would ensure that when we moved decisively. Their villa is about 2 kilometers from here, Raphael said as we reviewed the plan in our hotel suite. He pulled up a satellite image on his laptop. It's completely private, at the end of a narrow road with only one entrance. They've paid extra for absolute seclusion. How ironic, I murmured. They picked the perfect location for a romantic getaway, but they've actually chosen their own prison. Detective Morrison nodded approvingly. The Greek police have been incredible. They've reviewed all our evidence, coordinated with Interpol, and issued arrest warrants. The moment we give the signal, they'll move in. But Elena, she turned to look at me directly. You need to be absolutely certain you want to be there. This will be traumatic. Seeing them, confronting them, it's going to bring up a lot of emotions. I need to be there, I said firmly. They need to see that I survived. They need to know that their victim is the one who brought them down. The lovers arrive. We watched from our surveillance van as Marcus and Victoria's taxi pulled up to their luxury villa on Thursday afternoon. They looked like any other wealthy couple on vacation. Designer sunglasses, expensive luggage, arms wrapped around each other as they took in the stunning view. Look at this place. Victoria's voice came through clearly on our listening devices. Raphael had managed to get equipment installed in their villa the day before, hidden in electrical outlets and light fixtures. Marcus, this is incredible. Only the best for us, Marcus replied, kissing her deeply. We've earned this, Victoria. After everything we went through, we deserve paradise. I watched on the video feed as they explored their villa. It was stunning. Infinity pool overlooking the caldera, master bedroom with panoramic ocean views, private terrace with outdoor dining area. It was exactly the kind of place I'd dreamed of visiting with Marcus for years. They're settling in, Raphael observed. According to the reservation, they've booked a private chef to prepare dinner for them tonight at 8 p.m. That's when we'll move. Let them have their celebration, I said, watching Marcus pop a bottle of champagne on the screen. Let them toast their success. And then we'll show them what real consequences look like. The celebration dinner. That evening, as the sun began its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Marcus and Victoria prepared for their victory dinner. We watched them dress in elegant evening wear, Marcus in a tailored linen suit, Victoria in a flowing white dress that made her look like a bride. The private chef arrived at 7:30, along with a server who was actually an undercover Greek police officer. Another officer posed as a photographer, claiming to be capturing content for the villa's website. They were surrounded by law enforcement, and they had no idea. To us, Marcus said, raising his glass as they sat down to dinner on the terrace. The sun was setting behind them, creating a dramatic backdrop for what they thought was their triumph. To freedom, to love, and to the life we always deserved. To Elena, Victoria added with a cruel laugh, for being worth so much more dead than alive. May she rest in peace, knowing she finally contributed something valuable to the world. They clinked glasses and drank deeply. The casual cruelty, the complete lack of remorse. It solidified everything I needed to feel to go through with this. That's our cue, Detective Morrison said, checking her weapon. Greek police are in position. Raphael, Elena, are you ready? My brother looked at me, his eyes asking one final time if I was certain. I nodded. Let's do this. The confrontation. We arrived at the villa in 3 black SUVs, pulling up silently while Marcus and Victoria were on their second course. The Greek police moved into position around the property, ensuring no escape routes remained open. I stepped out of the middle vehicle, flanked by Raphael on one side and Detective Morrison on the other. My heart, my beautifully repaired, strong heart, was pounding, but not from fear or weakness, from righteous anger and the sweet anticipation of justice. The undercover server had left the terrace door open. We walked through the villa quietly, our footsteps silent on the marble floors. I could hear Marcus and Victoria's voices drifting in from outside, laughing, carefree.